Sir, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Can you hear now?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me? Okay. So, so today we will learn what is central tendency of statistical data. In statistical data, actually, the the data has a tendency to cluster around some certain value that is called the central tendency, and we will learn some tools to find the measure, and that at what value the variables are clustered. So variate has a tendency to cluster around some certain value. So the main tools to measure the central tendency here are three three main tools. These are namely mean, median, and mode. Let me give entry to some people. So, so in mean actually three types: arithmetic mean, geometric mean, and the harmonic mean. So in arithmetic mean, we just for ungrouped data, for ungrouped data, we actually all know in class uh, in our class 12 knowledge that the arithmetic mean will be summation 1 by n summation I equals to 1 to n xi. And if all this xi has some frequency fi, then it will be 1 by n summation I equal to 1 to n fi xi. And for ungrouped data, and if the data is ungrouped, suppose the data is like this: x1 to x2 has frequency f1, x2 to x3 has frequency f2, like this. Xn minus 1 to xn has frequency fn, then fn minus 1. Then we have to take the class class mark of this data, and then we will multiply that corresponding class mark and the corresponding frequency, and we'll take the mean again. So if the class marks are these, then the mean will be 1 by n minus 1. As I have taken n minus 1 quantities, I equals to 1 to n minus 1 yi fi for group data. So so the value for ungrouped data and group data are quite similar, but the calculation process is bit different. And we do not require GM and HM for our statistical measures, and we will directly go into the median. So what is median? Actually, median is the mid value of a statistical data. after writing it in after writing after expressing the data in ascending or descending order, data in ascending or descending order, let me give entry to some people, they are waiting. So for median, let's take an example for ungrouped data. Suppose we have data like 2, 7, 3, 11, 5, 9, 10. So here are 7 values. So for finding the median, we have to first write it in ascending or descending order. So I am writing it in ascending order. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, and the mid value is 7. So the median is 7. Now if we have even number of data, then we will take the mean of nth and n plus 1th value. So for odd number of values, odd number of data, median will be the mid value. Median will be the for 2n plus 1 values, it will be 2n plus 1 plus 1 by 2 with point, and for even it will be, if there are 2n values, it will be nth and n plus 1th observations mean. It will be nth and n plus 1th observations mean. So these are for the ungrouped data. For grouped data, so for group data, we have to first arrange the process. It says that first express in ascending or descending order, ascending or descending order. Then find the total frequency, and let's call it capital N. Then we will find n by 2, the half of the frequency, and then we will find the cumulative frequency table. Find cumulative frequency, and then we will check where this n by 2 has just crossed the cumulative frequency, and that value will be the median class, and check the value where n by 2 just exceeds the cumulative, or we can say the certain level, where n by 2 just exceeds the cumulative frequency, and we will call that level, and we will call it median class, because there it is a group data, so it should be a class, median class. not a median value. It should be a class. So these are the techniques that we should follow for group data. And there is also a formula that from which we can find the median value. We can find the median value, and the formula is like that. The median will be L plus n by 2 minus C by F into H, where L is the lower limit of the median class, so what will be the median class? So see that where the n by 2 has just exceeded the cumulative frequency, that will be the median class. And in that median class, L is the lower limit of the median class, and n is the number of observation, total number of observation in the total table, total number of observation. F is the frequency of the median class, and C is the cumulative frequency.
স্যার লবিতে মনে হয় কয়েকজন অপেক্ষা করছে, ঢুকতে পারছে না।
So C is the cumulative frequency of the class that precedes the median class, and H is the class width. And class width is always constant for a certain problem. Class width. So this is the formula by which we can calculate the median of a distribution. And some problems I have put it in my note. You can check the note. I will send the note after the class. So now we will learn what is mode. Because the problems are very easy, this is actually just some calculation, and I have given all these things elaborately in my note. I will send it to the seer. So next we learn what is mode. So you all know mode is the maximum number of occurrence of a certain quantity or a certain observation in a statistical data. So mode says, so mode is the maximum value or maximum occurrence value of a variable in a distribution. And for ungrouped data, it is very obvious. Suppose x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let their frequency be 9, 13, 28, 21, 8, and 3. So it is very obvious that the variable x equal to 3, is the mode because it has maximum number of frequency. And this is for the ungrouped data. Ungrouped data. Now again for the group data, we have a formula to calculate. So the mode is defined by the formula, can be calculated by this formula. Mode equals to L1 plus F0 minus F1. The notation may be different in some other books, but the meaning are all same. You can follow any notation. So f0, f minus 1 and f1 are the modal class. Class precedes the modal class. Modal class and class just following the modal class. And L1 is the lower bound of the modal class. L1 lower bound of modal class and C is the class width.
Sir,
Ah,
can you go to the previous page for 1 second?
yes.
Thank you, sir.
Next page যাব?
Yes, sir.
So there is a empirical formula. I think there is somebody waiting. Let me, oh, one second. I'm giving admit to some people. So there is a empirical formula between mean, median, and mode. So the formula is very simple, but there is a there is uh, some prerequisite for this formula, or uh, some I think we should know this first, that what is unimodal, unimodular, what is unimodal distribution, and what is bimodal distribution, and what is the skewness of a distribution. We should learn these prerequisites. Skewness. So unimodal means if a data is like this, suppose distribution of a data is kind of this, so it is unimodal because the occurrence of a certain value uh, is maximum for once. Here the maximum, here the actually the global maxima is actually 1, and also local maxima is 1. But in bimodal,
Sir, can you
they are
repeat what are the
given,
axes?
yes, in unimodal distribution, there is only one local maxima and only one global maxima.
Yes, sir, but
That
sir,
is,
what are the axes?
what are the,
Axis. What do the axes represent?
oh, okay, axis, in this axis, this is the frequency, and this is the value of the variable. Okay, this is the value of the variable.
Okay, sir.
So if we have a distribution like this, then it has a global maxima and a local maxima, but this is called bimodal. And if there are more peaks arises in the distribution, we will call it multimodal distribution. And what is skewness? Skewness means, actually skewness means the symmetricity of a distribution. Suppose we have a distribution like this. All you know that this is Gaussian distribution. It has mean 0. Actually, standard normal distribution has mean 0. So it is symmetrical about the y-axis. But if we have a distribution like this, then it is actually skewed in a actually this is not symmetrical, this is asymmetrical, because the axis of symmetry, this is the symmetry axis, but it is not symmetrical because the left part is only some portion, but but the tail is very long, so it is called uh, skewed distribution. For example, normal distribution, standard normal distribution is a symmetric distribution, is a non-skewed distribution, is symmetric, is always symmetric because it has mean 0. But log normal distribution or the gamma distribution or the Cauchy distribution are all skewed distribution. Log normal, gamma, and there are many other distributions. Cauchy, these are all skewed distributions. And the main characteristic of skewed distribution is the tail should be long. So in real life example, you can see that if you can check the COVID-19 data of the USA, you can find data like this. The third wave, the second wave was very fatal there, and there were 3-4 peaks in the distribution. So this is actually multimodal distribution, and also all the data in the COVID-19 incidence data, if you check that the peak is there and the tail is very long. Tail is very long because it takes time uh, to to get uh, to get the infection remain under some control. So it is actually called the skewed distribution. If you see this from here, this part is actually very skewed. This is a very skewed part. So in our empirical formula, we first need that the distribution should be unimodular and the distribution should be moderately skewed, not very much skewed. So the basic assumptions for the empirical formula is, first the distribution should be distribution should be should be unimodular, and it should be moderately skewed. And if these characteristics are present in the distribution, then we can say that mean minus mode is nearly equal to, not exactly equal to, nearly equal to, we can write nearly equal to 3 into mean minus median. This is the empirical relation between mean mode and median under these conditions are followed by the distribution. So next we will learn.
And the normal distribution follows this.
Actually, for normal distribution, mean and median are actually equal for standard normal distribution. For standard normal distribution.
Okay, the mode also.
Actually, mode is also equal for standard normal, because for standard normal, this is symmetrical. This is symmetrical, so it should be the mode, because because it has highest frequency, and this is symmetrical about y-axis, so the mean will be 0, and this is a mid value, so the mean mode median are all equal. So this formula is satisfied. for those distribution which are purely symmetrical. This is actually satisfied for all those distributions which are purely symmetrical, and also for the distribution which are moderately skewed, not very much skewed. So next we will learn. So here we learn the central tendency or the clustering property of data. Next we will learn the property that how much data are scattered around some value. So this is called measure of dispersion. Some people are waiting. Let me give them entry. So in the measure of dispersion, we will evaluate the scatteredness of data. Scatteredness of data. So there are four basic measures to calculate the measure of dispersion. The first one is the most coarser one. This is called range. Second one is called quartile deviation. This is called quartile deviation. This is called the mean deviation. And the last one is standard deviation.
Sir, can you repeat which one is the second one? I can't read it.
Which second one?
সেকেন্ড ওয়ানটা স্যার বুঝতে পারছেন না, একবার বলবেন কি দিয়ে?
The quartile.
Oh, quartile deviation. Quartile.
ওকে স্যার।
So the range is the most coarser one, and this is and the least as we goes as we progress the least to the least the measures are becoming more finer, and this is the finest measure to find the scatteredness of a data. And the range and quartile deviation are not actually included in our syllabus, so for the time being we will skip it, but you can check in my note, and you will check in my note. There are some examples and the formulas are given. They are elaborately given in my note. You can check it. So we will directly go into the mean deviation. So mean deviation means, suppose we have a set of data. Then first we have to calculate the mean. Then we will calculate the distance of each variable from the mean, and we will take again the mean of these values, and this is called mean deviation. This is called mean deviation about mean. About mean. So there are two types of mean deviation. First one is mean deviation about mean, and the second one is mean deviation about median. The second one is mean deviation about median. So let me take an example. So the problem says that calculate the mean deviation. Calculate the mean deviation from the median of the following data. The data is like this: 10 to 20, number of workers is 4. 20 to 30, number of workers is 6. 30 to 40, number of workers is 10. 40 to 50, number of workers 20. See 50 to 60, number of workers is 10. 60 to 70, number of workers is 6. 70 to 80, number of workers is 4. Okay. So we will need to find the mean deviation from mean of the following data. So first write the table: 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80. This is the X. Now we will find the class mark Xi. This is 15, 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75. And then write the frequency. Four, 6, 10, 20, 10, 6, 4, and then find the cumulative frequency, the CF cumulative frequency. That should be 4, 10, 20, 40, 50, 56, 60. And now calculate the difference. So here we have, so here see that here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here we have 7 values. 7 values. So mean will be, sorry, median will be the mid value. So median will be 45. Now calculate the, let me write 20 little above, because now calculate the deviation. Di equals to xi minus 45 to the mod. The space is not too much in my tab, that's why I'm writing
স্যার 45 টা মিন না মিডিয়ান?
median. This is median.
স্যার আমরা মিডিয়ানের ওই ফর্মুলাটা তো ইউজ করলাম না, ওই যে n/2
Actually median টা হলো median is, see that the data is in ascending order here.
Yes sir.
So if the data is ascending order, then the mid value is the median. So we do not always require to use that formula. But if we use that formula, the median will be same. If we use that formula, the median will be same. But we do not always require to use that formula because median is the mid value. So by observation, we can say that median should be 45. Now the differences will be xi minus 45, the deviations. So these are, and a mod is given here. So it should be 30, 20, 10, 0, 10, 20, and 30. So you can see that the distribution is purely symmetric. And if we now multiply fi into di, so this should be equal to 4 into 30, 120, 6 into 20, 120, 10 into 10, 100. This is equal to 0. This is 100, 120. This is 120. the total frequency is 60 and summation fi di is equal to 680. So the mean deviation therefore will be, mean deviation about median will be, so the mean deviation about median will be equal to summation fi di by n. This is equal to 680 by 60 and this is equal to 34 by 3 and nearly equal to 11.33. Okay, somebody was asking me that why I have taken median 45. Okay. So if we calculate this by our formula, see that this is n, this is n. Actually, we didn't see the name of the guy who was asking.
Yes, sir. It was me. I am Konko Ghosh.
Wrong. So n by 2 should be 30. So see in the cumulative frequency table where the cumulative frequency has crossed n by 2. This is at this level. Cumulative frequency has crossed 30. This n by 2 frequency at this level. So the median class will be 45 to 50, 40 to 50. This should be median class. So the lower bound of the median class is 40. Okay, and the frequency of the median class is and the frequency of the median class is 20. The frequency at the median class is 20. So f is 20. Now if we apply the formula L equals to n by 2 minus c by f into h. So if we apply the formula L equals L plus n by 2 minus c by f into h. So L is 40, n by 2 is 30. C is the cumulative frequency that precedes the median class. So the cumulative frequency that precedes the median class is 20. So C is here 20. So C is 20 and divided by F. F is equal to 20 and the class width is 10. All the class are same width. This is 10 everywhere. So see that this is equal to 5. So therefore 40. So if we either go by the theory or if we check it by observation, it will be the same. See, this actually 45. This is the mid value. The formula is devised in that way that if we go by the observation or if we go by the formula, both will be the same. Okay. So next we learn what is standard deviation. We actually know what is it, but for a ungrouped and grouped data, it was actually in your syllabus both in CBSE and West Bengal Board, in ISC also. So variance and standard deviation. So for a set of data x1, x2, suppose xn, then the variance, if we call this variate as x, then variance of x is equal to summation 1 by n x minus xi whole square. So if we break this square, then x square minus 2xxi plus xi square. Okay, I have written some mistake here. That should be x bar. Sorry, that should be x bar. X bar is the median. Sorry, mean. X bar is the mean. I equals to 1 to n xi. So that should be xi square to xi x bar plus xi square, and if we break the summation, x bar square and 1 by n, and x bar is independent of the summation, so we can take x bar out of the summation, and this is 1 by n xi square. And since x bar square is independent of the summation, so it should be nx square, n x bar square, and 1 by n, this part, this is actually x bar, so this is 2x bar into x bar, and 1 by n xi square. So 1 x bar square will cancel out, and therefore a simplified formula is this. This is a simplified version of the variance. And if we take the square root, this is called standard deviation. It is equal to root over variance. So we can actually solve a problem like of a group data like this, and the calculation is almost similar, but just we have to calculate two more columns to find the standard deviation, that is fi di square and di square. So for the calculation purpose, for the complexity of calculation, I will skip this part because this is actually given in the note and I will send it. But I will give you some properties of the variance. Some properties of variance. The first property says that suppose if we have a variables like this x1, x2, xn, and if we translate this variable by a certain same real number, then the variance are not affected. Variance remains same. So if we call this variate as x and if we call this variate as y, then variance of x is equal to variance of y. So it is unaffected by the translation. And if we have a variate like this, and if we multiply,
স্যার ওই এইগুলো সব সেম হবে না লাস্টেরটা এ
হ্যাঁ
এন
হ্যাঁ ওটা আমি ভুল করে লিখেছি। And if we multiply all these variables by a fixed constant, non-zero constant, and call it y, then variance of x will be equal, sorry, variance of y will be equal to a square into variance of x. Mathematically, this is called dilation. And this is called translation. Now if we apply both translation and dilation on a variable, then the variable will look like this. So if the original variables are x1, x2, xn, and if we apply both this transformation, then it will look like ax1 plus b, ax2 plus b, and AXN plus B, and variance of Y will be equal to S square into variance of X. So these are the main two properties of variance. Next, we will go into the bivariate analysis and the regression analysis. Bivariate analysis. So in bivariate analysis, from the name we can guess that there are two variables, and in bivariate analysis we will analyze how the two variables are dependent on each other. That means if we increase one variable, how much it affects the value of the other variable in this way. So let's take three simplified figure. Suppose we have two variables x and y. Suppose we are increasing x, and if the increasing effect of x induces an increasing effect in y, then we call that they are both positively correlated. If the increasing effect of x induces an increasing effect in y, then we call that the relation is or the correlation is positive. If we increase x and if it induces an decreasing effect in y, then we call this correlation as negative correlation. And if the increasing effect of y doesn't affect the doesn't left any effect on y, then we can call it no correlation or zero correlation. And we can express this idea by very simple scatter diagram like this. Let me take little big dots
স্যার
here. বলো
স্যার এক্স এর সাথে y ইনক্রিজ করলে ওটাকে কি বলে? পজিটিভ কোরিলেশন, আর
positive
কমলে নেগেটিভ,
negative,
আর লাস্টেরটা কি বলে স্যার?
zero correlation.
ওকে স্যার, এই হেডিংটা একবার বলবেন কি লিখেছেন?
Bivariate analysis.
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ।
Bivariate analysis. This is called zero correlation. This is negative correlation. This is positive correlation. We can express this idea by simple scatter diagram. See that if we increase the value of x, then it puts an increasing effect on y. Then if we increase the value of x, then the scatter diagram will like this. Here, if we increase x, then y will also increase. Maybe something different, but for our understanding purpose, we can take this as a scatter diagram. Now, if the increasing effect on x decreases y, then it will be like this. A very simple scatter diagram will clear our concept. And if there is no correlation, it will be kind of circular because it is going nowhere. It is kind of circular. And the correlation is actually denoted by R. If R equals to 1, we will say strong correlation. We will say strong correlation. If R equal to -1, we will say weak correlation. And if R equal to 0, then no correlation. So next we will learn some mathematical idea how to calculate the relation between the two variables and what will be the exact amount of correlation. What is the expression of correlation by Karl Pearson correlation formula? So next we do our correlation analysis. So let's take two variables, say x1, x2, xn, and y equals to y1, y2, yn. Now the covariance is defined by 1 by n summation I equals to 1 to n x minus xi into, sorry, xi minus x bar, that should be x bar, xi minus x bar, that should be xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar. And now if we break the bracket, xi yi, xi y bar, x bar yi, x bar y bar, and if we break the summation, it will be equal to I equals to 1 to n xi yi minus, take y bar out of the summation because it is independent of the summation, I equal to 1 to n xi minus, take x bar out of the bracket, and it should be equal to 1 by, it should be equal to y bar, and since x bar y bar are both independent of the summation, so the summation will give you an n here. So this n will cancel. This is equal to x bar, this is equal to y bar. So we have 2x bar y bar and plus x bar y bar. So this is equal to the simplified form I equals to 1 to n xi yi minus x bar y bar. This is the formula of covariance.
Sir,
हाँ बोलो.
can you repeat the name of this formula?
This is called covariance.
Covariance.
Pearson.
Okay.
এরপরে আসছে একটা জিনিস, সেটা কার্ল পিয়ারসন correlation coefficient. So the correlation coefficient that we have already discussed is named after the scientist Karl Pearson. So this is called
Sir,
Karl.
Sir, formula টা লিখতে হলো না। Yes sir. Thank you.
স্যার এখানে এক্স বার ওয়াই বারে এন এর জায়গাটা একবার বুঝিয়ে দেবেন?
X bar y bar এই জায়গাটা, এই
না,
bracket টা
এন
যেখানে,
যেখানে এন এন গুলো ক্যান্সেল করেছেন, মানে এক্স বার ওয়াই বারটার সঙ্গে সামেশনটা ছিল।
হ্যাঁ এইবারে এই জিনিসটা মানে কি, এই জিনিসটা মানে তো এটা আমি থাকলো I equals to 1 to n xi yi, আর এই পার্টটা মানে হলো x বার, তাহলে x বার y বার হয়ে গেল, এটা মানে y বার, তাহলে x বার y বার হয়ে গেল, আর এটা মানে হলো প্লাস x বার y বার, তাহলে একটা ক্যান্সেল হয়ে গেছে, একটা পড়ে আছে।
আচ্ছা স্যার, বুঝতে পেরেছি, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
তাহলে এবারে so next we learn the Karl Pearson correlation coefficient. Pearson correlation coefficient. Correlation. The formula for the Karl Pearson correlation coefficient is, it is actually denoted by R suffix xy is equal to covariance of xy divided by sigma x into sigma y, where sigma x equal to covariance. Sigma x is equal, হ্যাঁ বলছি, sigma x is equal to standard deviation, sigma x is equal to root over 1 by n summation xi square minus x bar square and sigma y equals to root over 1 by n summation yi square minus y bar square. Okay. So there are some properties of R. R satisfies some certain properties. So the first property is that R is just a measurement and it has no unit. Because in the numerator the power of the polynomial is 2 and in the denominator it is also 2. Therefore R is just a measurement, it has no unit. The second property says that the correlation coefficient Rxy is independent of the choice of origin. So what this property says that, so it says that if we change the origin for, suppose the variables, suppose there are two variables xy and uv, and let's the relation between x and y, x and u be u equal to x minus some a and v equals to y minus some b, then r of xy in the property says that r of xy should be equal to r of uv. Let's prove it. So from this relation, if we take mean in both side of u and x and both side of v and y, then it should be equal to 1 by n u is equal to 1 by x and it is equal to a, and 1 by n v is equal to, we are taking mean in both sides, 1 by y minus v. Therefore this implies u bar is equal to x bar minus a, and this implies v bar is equal to y bar minus b. Now variance of u, that all you know that the variance of u will be equal to variance of x, because variance doesn't change due to translation. So variance of u will be equal to variance of x. I will take some more time because I will finish this part. So please wait. Let me finish the part of this class. I will take more time. And variance of v will be equal to variance of y, because v is also translated by this variable v, and therefore that implies sigma u square is equal to sigma x square, because we know variance of x equal to sigma square, var x equal to sigma square, and sigma v square is equal to sigma y square. Now come to the formula of R uv. So R uv is equal to, okay, no, there is one more component. This is called covariance of uv. So covariance of uv is equal to 1 by n summation I equal to 1 to n ui minus u bar into vi minus v bar. Now I will write in the left Now see that I'm writing from the left side because the space is not too much in my tab. So I equals to 1 to n. So ui is equal to xi minus a, and u bar is equal to x bar minus a. So a will cancel out, and this is equal to yi minus b, and this is equal to y bar plus b, and b will cancel out, and you can obviously see that this is xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar, and this is equal to covariance of xy. So I will send the note. You can copy. You may just listen the class. I will send the note after the class. So covariance now, R of uv will be equal to covariance of uv by sigma u into sigma v, and you have seen that covariance of uv is equal to covariance of xy, and sigma is equal to sigma u is equal to sigma x, and sigma v is equal to sigma y from this relation. So we can see that say that R of uv is equal to R of xy. So the value of the correlation coefficient remains unaltered if we change the origin or if we translate the value. Next we will just state the property because the proof is very simple. You can go through the proof in my note. So if xy and uv are two variables connected by this relation u equals to ax plus b and v equals to cx plus d, then R of uv will be equal to a into c divided by mod a into mod c into R of xy. So from here we can infer that R of uv will be equal to R of xy if a and c has same sign, and if a and c has opposite sign, so it will be equal to minus of rxy if a and c has opposite sign. So we can say that the dilation and translation both alters the correlation coefficient.
Sir,
Well,
should the V have a Cy plus D, not Cx plus D?
C
Cy
equal to
plus D. V equals to Cy plus D.
কোনটা বলছো?
স্যার এই প্রপার্টি যেখানে লিখেছেন তো ওই লাইনটাতে শেষের
U
দিকে
equal to ax plus if a and c
আর ভিটা
a and
Cy plus D হবে না?
oh sorry হ্যাঁ c
হ্যাঁ স্যার ঠিক
এটা cy plus d. So if a and c has opposite sign, so the translation and dilation both alters the variable or alters the correlation coefficient. And next, the property 4 says that, and it is very important property. Next property says that the correlation coefficient should be less than equal to 1 and greater than equal to minus 1. So for proving this, let's take ui equals to x minus xi by sigma x and vi equals to x bar minus x and vi equals to y bar minus yi by sigma y. Now summation ui square is equal to xi x bar minus xi square by sigma x square. So the summation, so the sigma x is independent of the summation. We can take the sigma x out of the summation. This is equal to variance of x so this is equal to n sigma x squared because we know that var x equals to 1 by n summation x bar minus xi or maybe xi minus x bar whole square, and var x equal to sigma square, and variance of x is equal to sigma x square. So this is equal to x bar minus xi whole square. Sorry. So xi minus x bar whole square is equal to n sigma x square. So sigma x square will cancel out. This is equal to n. Similarly, summation vi square is equal to n. And what will be the value of the covariance of xy? This is ui vi equal to summation x bar minus xi into yi y bar minus yi by sigma x sigma y. And if we take sigma x sigma y out of the summation and take an extra n here, and this is equal to covariance of xy sigma x sigma y into covariance of xy divided by sigma x sigma y. Sorry, this is actually equal to covariance of xy, because the formula of covariance is this. The formula of covariance says that this is equal to this is the covariance formula, 1 by n summation xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar. So it is equal to n by sigma x sigma y into covariance of xy, and the Karl Pearson correlation coefficient is equal to covariance of xy by sigma x into sigma y. So we can write n into sigma x, n into rxy. This is rxy. So summation ui square is equal to n, summation vi square equal to n, and summation ui vi is equal to n rxy. Now we will use this relation. Say that plus minus will be greater than 0. This will always hold. And if we break the summation, this will be equal to summation ui square summation vi square plus 2 into ui vi greater than equal to 0. Summation ui square equal to n, summation vi square equal to n, and summation ui vi equals to n into rxy. It should be plus minus. Summation x ui vi is equal to n rxy, that is equal to greater than 0. So if we take 2n common, then it is equal to 1 plus rxy greater than equal to 0. Since n is the number of data, so it is always positive. Therefore 1 plus minus rxy is always positive. So for plus sign rxy is greater than minus 1, and if we consider minus sign, then rxy will less than 1, and if we combine both this inequality, then rxy will be greater than minus 1 and less than 1, and this is a very important formula. The next property says that
স্যার এই প্রুফটার একদম ইনিশিয়াল যে অ্যাসাম্পশনটা ইউআই ইকুয়াল টু এক্স বার মাইনাস এক্স আই বাই স্ট্যান্ডার্ড ডেভিয়েশন অফ এক্স ওইটা কেন?
actually এটা assumption নয়, এটা actually দেখো rxy এর যে ফর্মুলাটা আমি এখানে রাফে করে দেখাচ্ছি। rxy মানে কি? rxy মানে হলো সামেশন xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar by sigma x sigma y।
ইয়েস স্যার।
আমরা এই দুটো কম্পোনেন্টকে জাস্ট রিনেম করেছি, করে এই দুটো কম্পোনেন্টকে আলাদা ক্যালকুলেট করেছি, ঠিক আছে? বুঝতে পারছো? ওই rxy এর দুটো কম্পোনেন্টকে আমরা
ওকে স্যার,
ক্যালকুলেট
বুঝতে
করেছি,
পেরেছি। হ্যাঁ স্যার বুঝলি।
মানে অন্য কিছু করে। The next property says that property is property 5, and this property is extremely important because you will find a problem on this property, or you may find a problem on this property, because in the final exam there may be a problem on this property. The property says that variance of x plus minus y is equal to sigma x square sigma y square plus minus 2 rxy into sigma x sigma y. So let's prove this property. Variance of x plus minus y is equal to 1 by n summation I equals to 1 to n x plus xi plus minus yi minus x bar plus minus y bar, sorry, y bar whole square. So this is equal to 1 by n summation I equals to 1 to n xi minus x bar plus minus yi minus y bar whole square. Now if you break the bracket, then it will be equal to 1 by n I equals to 1 to n xi minus x bar whole square plus 1 by n summation I equal to 1 to n yi minus y bar whole square plus minus 2 into 1 by n summation I equals to 1 to n xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar yi minus y bar yi minus y bar. Now see that 1 by n xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar, this is equal to 2 into sigma x sigma y into covariance of xy rxy. From the formula says that r of xy is equal to, see that covariance of xy is equal to rxy into sigma x sigma y. So we will use it here because this is covariance of xy. If we take 2 outside, this is sigma x square, this is sigma y square, and if we take 2 common plus minus, this is equal to rxy sigma x sigma y. So this is a very important formula. Variance of x plus minus y is equal to sigma x square plus sigma y square plus 2 plus minus 2 rxy into sigma x into sigma y. And there are some other formulas. I will give the note of those formulas. The standard error of correlation coefficient is equal to 1 minus rxy square divided by root over n. These are all actually empirical formulas uh, uh, calculated by some experiments, not from proofs, not from logic or not from direct proof. These are all empirical formulas. Probable error has formula 0.67485 into 1 minus rxy squared by root over n. These are all empirical formulas.
Sir,
Well,
in the first note, can you tell me what is in the denominator of the formula?
and this is root over n.
Root over n.
Both,
Okay, sir.
both in this formula, this is root over n.
Thank you, sir.
So next we will learn what is regression analysis. So this is the last topic of our today's class. So regression analysis. It was previously in the ISC syllabus. I think now it is uh, no more in the syllabus of both ISC, CBSC, and also in the West Bengal board.
Sir, in the Cauchy's inequality দিয়ে ওটা প্রুফ করা যাবে কি ওই rxy greater than 1?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ যায় তো, কিন্তু ওখানে কোশ্চেন ইকুয়ালিটি করতে গেলে আমার দুটো পজিটিভ কোয়ান্টিটি লাগবে, সেটা জানি না বলে করতে পারলাম না। কারণ ওখানে xi মাইনাস এক্স বার আর yi মাইনাস ওয়াই বার দুটো পজিটিভ কিনা আমরা জানি না, তাহলে আমাকে মড নিয়ে করতে হবে, যেটা ইন জেনারেল হয় না আসলে। ইন জেনারেল পজিটিভ হয় না বলে সেটা করা যাচ্ছে না।
Okay, sir.
So the regression analysis is required to predict. Actually, it is required for prediction. Suppose we have two values, two set of values. Suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and suppose this is 1, this is 2 square, this is 3 square, 4 square, 5 square. You can easily say the function is y equal to x square. The relation between these two functions is y equal to x square. Now if I give you a value like 6, then you can see that the value of y will be equal to 6 square. That is, you are now predicting the value of y by this function. So in regression analysis, we will have two set of data, and we will try to find the relation between these two data, and then we will forecast any value, forecast a value with the help of the relation. That is why it is called prediction, or the the meaning of regression is prediction. So in regression analysis, the relation between the variables may be linear, or may be quadratic, or may be any implicit relation, or maybe any integrate relation. But in our syllabus, we will only handle the linear relation. That is, the two data that are correlated will be in a linear relation. So we will study only the linear relation between the two data. Linear regression. So we will call it linear regression, and the relation between the variable x and y will be of the form a plus bx, and where a and b are two unknowns. So for the two unknowns, we will calculate the two unknowns in this way. First, take the summation in both sides. So since a is constant, this will be equal to na, and this will be equal to x, and then just multiply the equation, this equation 1, this is equation 2, and the equation 3 is here. Multiply the equation 1 by x, and it will be xy ax plus bx square, and then again take the summation in both sides. It will be equal to a into summation x plus b into summation x square. Now we will solve this is actually equation 3. Actually, writing the label in the left side is a fashion in old English writers, but we are accustomed writing the label in the right side. So this is called the normal equation. 1 and 2, 2 and 3 are called the normal equation. From these two equations, we can calculate the value of a and b. I am not calculating here. I am just writing the value of the variables a and b. So if we solve 2 and 3, a will be equal to, first write b because we have multiplied by x. So b will be equal to covariance of xy by sigma x square, and a will be equal to mean of y minus covariance of xy by sigma x square into mean of x, and the regression line y on x we will call the regression line y on x, regression line y on x will be equal to y equals to ax plus b. The value of a is equal to y bar minus covariance of xy by sigma x square into x bar. We are just substituting the value of a and b here, and b is equal to covariance of xy by sigma x square into x. So
Sir,
huh,
is the sigma of xs square thus or sigma xs whole square?
it is sigma, the standard deviation of the variable x. That is why we are writing sigma x in the suffix. This sigma
Hmm.
x square, or you can say sigma x, sigma suffix x whole square.
Okay,
X
sir.
is just the suffix.
Okay, sir.
X, this is not x square. This is the suffix for the variable x.
স্যার ওই
So
2 আর 3 ইকুয়েশনটাকে কি বললেন আপনি?
normal equation. It is called normal equation. Now from this equation, if we simplify, so y minus y bar will be equal to if we take covariance xy by sigma x square common, then it will be equal to x minus x bar, and we will label this uh, this value as byx. This is called the correlation coefficient y on x. So we are now predicting the value of y while the value of x is known. That is why we have expressed y in terms of x. So if x is known, we can know the value of y. So we can predict the value of y if the value of x is known. That is why it is called regression line y on x. This is called y regression line y on x, and the coefficient byx is covariance of xy by sigma x square. Now you know that covariance of xy is equal to rxy into sigma x sigma y. Therefore, it will be equal to rxy into sigma y by sigma x. Now similarly, if we calculate the regression line x on y, it will be equal to x minus x bar into bxy into y minus y bar, where bxy equal to, from this relation we can easily say that b of xy will be equal to covariance of xy by sigma y square. From similarity, it will be equal to rxy into sigma x by sigma y. So these are the two main equations. This is called regression line x on y, regression line x on y, and this is called regression line y on x. Just give me 5 minutes. I am just finishing the last part. So the three four there are 3 4 properties of the regression coefficients. The first property says that uh, actually regression coefficients are the bxy and byx. These are the regression coefficients. This is called regression coefficient. These are called regression coefficients. bxy and byx. bxy, byx are regression coefficients. So the first property says that regression coefficients are unaffected. Proofs are not needed for exam purpose, but you can check my note by the change of origin. The second property says that if we change the scale, so if we dilate, now you know what is dilation. Dilation means we are multiplying the variable by some factor. If we dilate the variables, if we dilate the variable, then regression coefficient will alter, or will be affected. Coefficient will be changed. So dilation actually changed the value of the regression coefficient, but the translation has no effect. And the third property is the relation between regression coefficient and the correlation coefficient. The relation says that, see that b of xy is equal to rxy into sigma y by sigma x, and b of xy is equal to rxy sigma x by sigma y. Now if we multiply bxy and byx, this will be equal to rxy whole square. So this is the relation between the regression coefficients and the correlation coefficient. Now from here we can infer some properties of rxy. So first we can say that rxy is the geometric mean. It's the geometric mean of bxy and byx. Secondly, we can say that since r square xy always positive, so bxy and byx should be of same sign. Should be same sign, because if they are opposite sign, then r square will be negative. This is impossible. Should be of same sign. Thirdly, we can say that since r square is since the value of r square is less than 1 and obviously greater than 0, so both bxy both bxy and byx cannot be greater than 1. Otherwise r square will be greater than 1. Both bxy and byx cannot be greater than 1. And since rxy square equals to bxy into byx, and am is always greater than gm, so we can say that byx is greater than, so we can take root over here actually. Then we can say that r of xy is less than b of xy plus b of yx by 2. So rxy is less than the arithmetic mean of both uh, arithmetic mean of the regression coefficients, and this property says that since the regression lines has equation y minus y bar equals to b of xy into b of yx, this should be yx, b of yx into x minus x bar, the equation the regression lines are x minus y bar into equals to b of yx into x minus x bar, and x minus x bar equals to b of xy into y minus y bar has meets, so they will meet at x bar y bar. This is the only common point, meet at x bar y bar. So both the regression line meets at x bar y bar, and if the value of the regression coefficient, if the value of the correlation coefficient r modulus of r belongs to 3 by 4 to 1, then the variables are called strongly correlated. Strongly correlated. If the value of r lies between half to 3 by 4, then we will call moderately correlated. And if the value of this should be 1 by 4 to 3 by 4, and if the value of r is greater than 0 and less than equal to 1 by 4, then we will call loosely correlated or weakly correlated.
স্যার টপেরটাতেও কি এগুলো ইকুয়াল হবে না?
হ্যাঁ, equal হবে। And finally, the angle between the two regression lines is given by tan theta equals to 1 minus r xy square divided by bxy plus the acute angle between the two regression lines. Theta is the acute angle. So if
So you have said that when the value of r is -1, then it is loosely correlated.
When the value of the regression coefficient is 0 to 1 by 4 and -1 by 4 to 0. That is why I have given mod here. This means
-1 হলো strongly correlated, sir. माइनस r equals to -1 होता है.
Actually this is called perfectly strong and this is perfectly weak. If r is -1, we will say this perfectly weak, and if r is 1, we will say perfectly strong. And we should use a strict inequality here, because if r is equal to 0, then we will say there is no correlation. See that I have given mod here, so it means r belongs to 3/4 to 1 union -1 to -3/4, right? So if r belongs to these intervals, then it is called strongly correlated, and if r is equal to 1, then it is called perfectly strong, and if r is -1, it is called perfectly weak. Now if rx square equals to 1, that is rxy equal to ±1, then lines are parallel, regression lines are parallel, and if bxy plus byx is equal to 0, then lines are perpendicular. So these are all the properties of the regression coefficients. Now you can check some problems in my note. I will send the note and this handwritten note after the class. Okay. So the class is now finished for today, and in next class we will study the Chebyshev inequality and the law of large number.
Sir,
Bolo.
what does the angle theta represent?
Theta is the acute angle between the regression lines.
Acha sir.
Regression lines.
Okay sir, thank you.
So you can all leave now.
Thank you sir.
Thanks.
Sir, will you send this PDF?